Forget every fairy tale you've ever been told. Erase the images of two perfect halves clicking together, of a gentle hand that completes you, of a soft voice that quiets all your fears. That is a lie. It is a tranquilizer for the masses, a comforting bedtime story to keep you from the terrifying, magnificent, and brutal truth of what a soulmate connection actually is. You think a soulmate is a key that fits the lock of your heart. You are mistaken. A true soulmate in the profound and unforgiving universe of Carl Jung is not a key. It is a hammer. It is a force of nature that arrives not to complete you but to shatter you. It is the one person who shows up and with their mere presence smashes the lock you've so carefully constructed around your own heart. They do not come to offer you a sanctuary from the world. They arrive to make you confront the one thing you have been running from your entire life, yourself. The connection isn't about comfort, it is about fire. It is an alchemical process, a psychological crucible designed for one purpose: to burn away everything that is not you. To incinerate the masks, the pretenses, the carefully curated personality, and force you down into the bedrock of your own soul. Most people run from this. They crave the key, the easy fit. So they spend their lives trying to force the wrong keys into the wrong locks, wondering why they feel so empty, so unseen. But you are not most people. You are here because some part of you is tired of the lies. You suspect there is a deeper, more powerful, and yes, more dangerous form of connection possible. And you are right, this is not a guide to finding a nice partner. This is a field manual for recognizing the seismic, soul-altering event that is a true Jungian soulmate. These 13 things are not gentle signs, they are psychological earthquakes. If they are happening, do not run. It means your life's greatest and most terrifying work has just begun. Number 1, they reveal your shadow and they don't flinch. The shadow, in Jungian terms, is everything you are but have refused to acknowledge. It is your repressed anger, your hidden greed, your secret cowardice, your untamed desires. It is the dark cellar of your psyche where you have locked away every trait you deem unacceptable. Most relationships are a conspiracy of silence around the shadow. Two people tacitly agree. I won't look at your darkness if you don't look at mine. You build a pleasant life on the ground floor, pretending the cellar doesn't exist. A soulmate arrives with a torch and a crowbar. They do not do this maliciously. Their very nature, the light they carry, illuminates your darkness by contrast. Their courage highlights your fear. Their radical honesty exposes your subtle deceptions. Their passion ignites your own repressed, volcanic anger. Consider a man named Marcus. He built his entire identity, his persona, on being the calm, rational, unshakable rock. He was proud of never losing his temper. He chose partners who were equally placid, creating a life of sterile, predictable peace. Then he met Lena. Lena was not a storm, she was the entire weather system. She was fiercely passionate, argued with the fire of 1,000 suns, and cried with the force of a hurricane. At first, Marcus was repulsed and terrified. She was too much, too emotional, irrational. He tried to fix her, to calm her down, to make her more like him. But her presence was a relentless mirror. In the heat of their conflicts, he felt a rage building inside him that he hadn't felt since he was a powerless child. It was a feral, monstrous anger. He had projected it onto her, calling her crazy when in fact, she was simply giving him permission to feel his own buried intensity. A true soulmate doesn't just see your shadow, they inadvertently provoke it. They poke the dragon you keep chained in the basement until it roars. And here's the crucial part. When your shadow finally emerges, when you erupt in that unacceptable anger or confess a shameful fear or reveal a selfish ambition, they do not run away in horror. They look at your monster, the very thing you were sure would make you unlovable, and they simply nod. Not in approval, but in recognition. They see it as a part of you. They have their own dragon, and they know that wholeness is not about slaying the beast, but integrating it. The consequence of ignoring this is you will label them the problem. You will say, "They bring out the worst in me," and you will leave seeking someone who will let your shadow sleep. The outcome of embracing it is terrifying and glorious. You stop pretending to be half a person. You reclaim the power, the passion, the intensity you locked away, and you become formidable, whole, and authentic for the first time in your life. Number 2, you experience unsettling synchronicity. Synchronicity is Jung's term for meaningful coincidences, events that seem to be connected by meaning rather than by cause and effect. It's the universe winking at you. With a soulmate, the universe doesn't just wink, it puts on a full-blown light show. The story of your meeting is never simple. It's a cascade of improbable events that, in hindsight, look like a deliberate cosmic conspiracy. You missed a flight only to be on the next one sitting next to them. You walk into a random bookstore in a foreign city and find them reading the one book that changed your life. You both have the same recurring dream or a bizarrely specific scar from a childhood accident. These are not cute anecdotes. They are signposts from the collective unconscious, indicating that a powerful archetypal pattern is being activated. Think of it like this: your individual life is a small stream. A true soulmate connection is like two streams being forcibly merged by a psychic earthquake, destined to become a powerful river. The synchronicities are the tremors and cracks in the landscape that precede this merger. They are unsettling because they shatter your mundane, rational understanding of the world. They prove you are not just a cog in a machine, but a character in a much grander, mythic story. Sarah was an accountant, living a life measured in spreadsheets. She had a plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. Then she decided, on a whim she couldn't explain, to take a pottery class, something completely out of character. The first day, the instructor asked everyone to make a small object that represented home. Without thinking, Sarah sculpted a small, crooked lighthouse. Across the room, a man named Ben, a carpenter who had also joined on an inexplicable impulse, sculpted the exact same crooked lighthouse. They looked at each other's work, and the rational world fell away. It turned out they had both grown up in different coastal towns, each haunted and inspired by a local, dilapidated lighthouse. This wasn't just a coincidence. It was the universe screaming, "Pay attention." Their meeting wasn't the cause, it was the effect of a deeper pattern rising to the surface. To ignore such a sign is to willfully turn your back on your own destiny. It's choosing the comfort of your small, predictable stream over the terrifying power of the river. The practical step here is not to go looking for signs. It is to develop the awareness to recognize them when they occur. Keep a journal. Pay attention to dreams, to gut feelings, to the strange rhymes and echoes of life. When the universe speaks, have the courage to listen. Number 3, they are a mirror, not a crutch. So many people seek a partner to be a crutch. I am weak, find me someone strong. I am chaotic, find me someone organized. I am anxious, find me someone calm. You are seeking someone to fill your own deficiency, to be the missing puzzle piece. This is the foundation of codependency, not love. A crutch keeps you from ever learning to walk on your own. It perpetuates your weakness. A true soulmate is a mirror, a brutally honest, high-definition, unsparing mirror. When you look at them, you don't just see them, you see yourself in stunning and often horrifying clarity. They reflect back to you not only your beauty, your intelligence, and your compassion, but also your arrogance, your laziness, and your self-deception. If you are prone to blaming others, their own radical self-responsibility will highlight your victim mentality so starkly it will become unbearable. If you are lazy, their relentless drive and discipline will feel like a constant judgment, not because they are judging you, but because their existence exposes your own untapped potential. This is why these relationships are so often volatile at the beginning. You are not just reacting to them, you are reacting to the reflection of yourself you see in them. The temptation is to blame the mirror. You make me feel insecure. No, their confidence simply reveals the insecurity that was already there. You're too critical. No, their commitment to truth simply illuminates your own tendency to accept mediocrity. The story of James and Maria is a perfect example. James was a nice guy. He avoided conflict, told people what they wanted to hear, and prided himself on being agreeable. Maria was a lawyer. She was precise, logical, and valued truth above all else. When she would calmly dissect one of James's nice but fundamentally dishonest statements, he would feel attacked. He called her cold and unfeeling, but what he was really seeing in the mirror of her integrity was his own cowardice. He wasn't nice, he was afraid. Afraid of disapproval, afraid of conflict, afraid of the messiness of truth. It took him a year of painful self-reflection to realize that she wasn't attacking him. She was offering him an invitation to stop being a nice guy and start being a real man. The outcome of choosing a crutch is a life of managed weakness. You will never grow beyond your limitations. The outcome of embracing the mirror is the single most powerful catalyst for self-mastery. Your action is this. Next time your partner's behavior triggers a strong negative reaction in you, stop. Before you blame them, ask the terrifying question, what truth about myself am I trying to avoid by focusing on their flaws? The mirror never lies. The only question is whether you have the courage to look. Number 4, communication transcends words. In a conventional relationship, communication is a constant effort of translation. You struggle to encode your feelings and thoughts into words, and your partner struggles to decode them, with massive amounts of data lost in transmission. You have endless conversations about what you meant, trying to bridge the gap between two separate islands of consciousness. With a soulmate, a new channel of communication opens. It's a deep, intuitive, nonverbal link. It is the experience of sitting in complete silence with them, yet feeling more understood than you ever have in a 3-hour conversation with someone else. It's knowing they are upset the moment they walk in the door without them saying a word. It's finishing each other's sentences not as a cute party trick, but because your minds genuinely seem to be moving along the same track. This is the participation mystique, a term Jung used for a deep, unconscious connection where the boundary between two individuals becomes porous. It can feel magical but also deeply unnerving. It's the feeling of being seen on a level so profound it strips you bare. There are no secrets. You can't hide your emotional state from them, even when you try. Consider the dynamic between an artist, Clara, and a musician, Leo. Clara worked with clay, shaping her emotions into physical forms. Leo composed music that seemed to capture the very essence of weather patterns and silent landscapes. They could spend an entire day together in the studio, not speaking but in perfect communion. He would play a chord, and she would know precisely the feeling of loss or joy he was trying to capture. She would press her thumb into the clay to create a specific curve, and he would look over and say, "Yes, that's it. That's the feeling of inevitable sorrow." Their friends were baffled. "Don't you guys ever talk?" But Clara and Leo were communicating on a much higher bandwidth. Their souls were speaking directly, using art and silence as the medium. This isn't telepathy in a comic book sense. It's a shared resonance, a deep empathy that bypasses the clumsy mechanics of language. The danger is becoming lazy with verbal communication. The power is in combining both. Use this intuitive link as the foundation, but still do the work of verbalizing, clarifying, and consciously building your shared world with words. The actionable step is to cultivate this. Create space for silence in your relationship. Go for a walk in nature without speaking. Sit together and just breathe. Learn to listen not just to their words, but to the silence between the words. That is where the real conversation is happening. Number 5, conflict is a catalyst, not a catastrophe. In most relationships, conflict is a sign of failure. It's a breakdown in harmony, a threat to be avoided, smoothed over, or won at all costs. The goal is to return to a state of peace as quickly as possible, even if it means burying the truth. In a soulmate connection, conflict is a tool. It is a sacred alchemical fire. Arguments are not about winning or losing, they are about burning away falsehood. Each disagreement is a crucible where ego, illusion, and persona are thrown into the flames, so that a purer, more resilient truth can be forged between you. These conflicts are often more intense, more passionate, and more painful than any you have ever experienced, because the stakes are so much higher. You are not fighting over who left the dishes in the sink. You are fighting for the soul of the relationship itself. You are fighting for truth. The difference lies in the intention. The goal is not to destroy the other person, but to destroy the illusion that stands between you. It's a shared struggle against falsehood. You might scream, you might cry, you might retreat into stony silence, but underneath it all, there is an unbreakable commitment to the process. You both know on a deep level that this painful ordeal is necessary for growth. Think of a blacksmith forging a sword. He heats the metal in a roaring fire, pulls it out glowing and vulnerable, and hammers it violently. He plunges it into water, creating a terrifying hiss. To an outsider, it looks like he is destroying the metal, but the blacksmith knows this violent process of fire, impact, and quenching is what transforms a soft piece of iron into a blade of legendary strength and flexibility. Your conflicts are that process. When you fight with a soulmate and you come through the other side, you are not weakened, you are stronger. The bond is tempered. A layer of ego has been burned off both of you, and you see each other and yourselves more clearly. You learn to fight for the relationship, not within it. The consequence of avoiding this is a fragile, superficial peace built on a mountain of unspoken resentments. It is a house of cards that will collapse at the first real gust of wind. To embrace this, you must shift your mindset. See conflict not as a threat, but as an opportunity. When an argument begins, ask yourself, what illusion is trying to be burned away here? Stay in the fire. Don't run. Don't try to win. Listen to what is being revealed in the heat of the moment. It is in the ashes of these ego battles that true intimacy is born. Number 6, they activate your anima or animus. This is one of Jung's most profound and challenging concepts. The anima is the unconscious feminine aspect within a man. The animus is the unconscious masculine aspect within a woman. These are not about gender roles, they are about archetypal energies. The anima represents eros, relatedness, intuition, and creativity. The animus represents logos, logic, structure, and assertive action. For most of your life, this inner figure is dormant and unconscious. You project it onto the people you are attracted to. A man falls for a woman who perfectly embodies his own undeveloped anima. A woman is drawn to a man who represents her own dormant animus. This is simple projection, and it fades. A true soulmate does something far more radical. They don't just embody your anima or animus, they activate it within you. They force you to develop these qualities in yourself. A man who is overly logical, rigid, and disconnected from his feelings, a weak anima, meets a woman who is not just feeling, but who challenges him to discover his own capacity for feeling, for intuition, for relatedness. She doesn't just soothe him, She demands he learn to soothe himself, to connect with his own inner feminine. A woman who is passive, overly accommodating, and unsure of her own direction, a weak animus, meets a man whose assertive energy doesn't just protect her, it inspires her to find her own inner masculine. He challenges her to think logically, to take decisive action, to build structure in her own life. This process is deeply uncomfortable. The man may feel his logical world is being threatened by a tidal wave of irrational emotion. The woman may feel her comfortable way of being is being pushed around by an aggressive energy. This is the ego resisting its own integration, its own path to wholeness. Look at David, an engineer who lived by numbers and flowcharts. He met Chloe, a poet who lived by intuition and metaphor. Initially, he was just fascinated by her as a beautiful, exotic creature. But as their connection deepened, her way of being forced him to confront the barrenness of his own inner world. She would ask him questions that his logic couldn't answer. But how does that feel in your body? What is the deeper meaning of this project you're working on? It drove him crazy until he realized she was giving him a map to a part of his own soul he had abandoned. He started painting, writing, and connecting with a creative, intuitive side he never knew he had. He was integrating his anima. He was becoming whole. A soulmate doesn't complete you by giving you what you lack. They force you to find what you lack within yourself. The work is to recognize this challenge. When your partner pushes you into an uncomfortable mode of being logic for the feeler, feeling for the thinker, understand that this is not an attack. It is an invitation to your own individuation. Number 7, your individual growth accelerates violently. Many people see a relationship as a final destination. You find the one and you settle down. Life becomes a comfortable plateau. A soul-mate relationship is the exact opposite. It is not a destination, it is a launch pad. The moment you connect, your personal journey of individuation, Jung's term for becoming your most authentic, integrated, and whole self, goes into hyperdrive. This growth is often not gentle or pleasant. It is violent. It is the tearing down of old structures, the death of old identities, the painful birth of a new self. Being with this person holds a mirror up to all the ways you have been living inauthentically. It exposes your compromises, your fears, and your comfortable lies. You can no longer remain the person you were. The relationship demands you evolve. Your career path, which once seemed so secure, might suddenly feel hollow and meaningless. Your friendships, many of which were based on your old, false persona, may wither and die. Your core beliefs about the world might be shattered. It can feel like your entire life is falling apart. And in a way, it is. The life built by your ego is being dismantled to make way for a life lived from the soul. This is why these relationships feel so destabilizing. You are on a rocket ship of personal growth and you don't have a map. Your partner is not the pilot, they are your co-pilot on their own, equally terrifying journey. You are both being forged in the same fire. Imagine a woman who had always been a people pleaser, whose entire life was structured around gaining approval. She meets a man who is radically, sometimes brutally authentic. He doesn't need anyone's approval, and he doesn't offer it easily. His very presence makes her people-pleasing habits feel disgusting and weak. To be with him, to meet him on a level of truth, she is forced to start speaking her mind, setting boundaries, and disappointing people. It's terrifying for her. She feels like she's dying, but it is her false self that is dying, and her true self is being born. The consequence of resisting this acceleration is immense suffering. You will try to put the brakes on, to cling to your old life, and the relationship will become a source of immense friction and pain. You will blame your partner for ruining your life, but the outcome of surrendering to it is liberation. You become the person you were always meant to be, not the person society conditioned you to be. The action is to embrace the chaos. When your life starts to unravel after meeting them, do not panic. Trust the process. This is not destruction, it is demolition. Something far greater is being built. Number 8, there is a sense of timeless recognition. This is a common trope, but its true meaning is often missed. It's not the cliché, "I feel like I've known you my whole life." It's deeper, stranger, and more primal than that. It is the feeling of, "Oh, there you are." It's a recognition at the soul level, a sense that you have been traveling towards this meeting across lifetimes through archetypal landscapes. It's a feeling of coming home to a place you've never been. This recognition has nothing to do with compatibility on paper. You could be from wildly different backgrounds, have different interests, be at different stages of life. The ego looks at the situation and says, "This makes no sense." But the soul looks at the other person and says, "Of course, it had to be you." This feeling is a signal from the self, the ordering principle of the psyche. It's an indication that this encounter is not random, but is a pivotal, preordained chapter in your personal myth. It's as if you are two characters in a great epic who have finally found each other, and now the real story can begin. This can be disorienting. It bypasses all your rational criteria for a partner. You might have had a type, a checklist of qualities you were looking for. This person may tick none of those boxes, yet the sense of recognition is so powerful it overrides all logic. It's a knowing that comes from a place far older and wiser than your conscious mind. A pragmatic, 45-year-old surgeon, a man who believed only in what he could see and touch, meets a 28-year-old free-spirited traveler. On paper, it's an absurd match. His life is about control, precision, and long-term stability. Hers is about spontaneity, freedom, and living in the moment. His friends are worried. His family is confused. But when he is with her, he feels a sense of peace and rightness that he has never known. It's a quiet, deep, unshakable feeling of recognition. He is not in love in the frantic, desperate way he has been before. He is simply, finally home. To the outside world, it looks like a midlife crisis. To him, it feels like his life is just beginning. The danger is to let the ego and the opinions of others talk you out of this profound, irrational knowing. The action is to trust it. Trust that deep, quiet hum of recognition beneath the noisy chatter of your mind. It is your soul's compass, and it is pointing the way. Number 9, they challenge your persona. The persona is the social mask you wear. It's the you present at work, at parties, with your family. It's the collection of acceptable traits and behaviors you have curated to navigate the world successfully. It's your job title, your social status, your reputation. The persona is necessary, but the danger is when you mistake the mask for your actual face. Many people do. They become so identified with their persona that they forget who they are underneath. A soulmate is a threat to the persona. They have an uncanny ability to see right through it. They are not impressed by your job title, your achievements, or your reputation. They are interested in the raw, unedited, vulnerable human being behind the mask. In fact, they are often actively unimpressed by the mask, and they will challenge it, either consciously or unconsciously. They will ask the questions that your persona can't answer. They will find your jokes unfunny if they are inauthentic. They will call you out on your performative kindness. It can feel like they are trying to strip you naked in public, and they are psychologically naked. If your persona is the intellectual, they will be drawn to your moments of goofy, simple joy. If your persona is the tough guy, they will see and connect with the frightened child inside you. They are not trying to humiliate you, they are trying to connect with the real you. They are calling your soul out from behind the fortress of your reputation. A highly successful CEO, known for her ruthless efficiency and iron will, met a landscape gardener. He wasn't impressed by her power or her wealth. In fact, he found her corporate talk boring. He would listen politely and then ask, "But what do you love? What makes you feel alive when no one is watching?" She found these questions infuriating at first. They were irrelevant to her carefully constructed world. But his persistent, gentle disregard for her persona began to crack its foundation. She realized she had no answer to his question. She had been so busy being her persona that she had forgotten how to be a person. The relationship forced her to take off the mask. It was terrifying. Without her persona, she felt weak and undefined. But in that vulnerability, she found a connection with him and with herself that was more real than any business deal she had ever closed. The choice is stark. You can cling to your mask, in which case the relationship will fail because a true connection cannot be made between a soul and a mask, or you can have the courage to take it off. The action is to notice when you are performing for your partner. Notice when you are using your professional voice, your charming anecdotes, your intellectual defenses. In those moments, stop, breathe, and dare to say something simple and true, with no agenda other than to be seen as you are. Number 10, your shared goal is truth, not comfort. Ask most couples what the goal of their relationship is, and they'll say happiness, stability, or comfort. They want a safe harbor, a refuge from the storms of life. These are not bad things, but they are not the primary goal of a soulmate connection. The ultimate shared goal in a soulmate relationship is truth. It is a mutual, fanatical commitment to living in reality, both individually and together. This means a willingness to face uncomfortable truths about yourselves, about each other, and about the relationship itself. It is the agreement that you would rather live in a painful truth than a comfortable lie. This makes for a demanding and often turbulent existence. Comfort is sacrificed at the altar of authenticity. If one of you is unhappy, you don't pretend everything is fine to keep the peace. You speak the truth even if it creates conflict. If the relationship is developing a toxic pattern, you don't ignore it. You drag it into the light and dissect it, even if it's painful. If one of you needs to make a life change that threatens the stability of the relationship, like changing careers or moving, the primary question isn't how can we avoid this, but what is the truest path forward for both of our souls? This commitment to truth is the guiding star that you navigate by, especially through the darkest storms. It's what allows you to survive the catalyst of conflict, point 5, and the shattering of the persona, point 9. You both trust that if you just keep orienting towards what is real, you will eventually find your way. Imagine a couple where one partner develops a serious addiction. The comfort goal would be to hide it, manage it, and maintain a semblance of normalcy for as long as possible. The truth goal is to face it head-on. It means ultimatums, rehab, painful therapy sessions, and potentially the temporary dissolution of the relationship in service of the higher truth that the addiction must be conquered. It's brutal. It's anything but comfortable. But it is the only path to genuine healing and a relationship founded on reality, not denial. Choosing comfort over truth leads to a slow spiritual death. The relationship becomes a beautiful hollow shell. Choosing truth is a path of constant challenge, but it leads to a bond that is unbreakable, resilient, and deeply, profoundly real. Your task is to make this a conscious agreement. Have the conversation. Ask your partner, are we willing to prioritize truth over comfort even when it hurts? If the answer is yes, you have a foundation on which you can build a universe. Number 11, they inspire both awe and fear. When you meet a true soulmate, you will experience two powerful, seemingly contradictory emotions simultaneously: a profound sense of awe and a deep, primal fear. The awe comes from seeing a soul that is magnificent in its essence. You are in awe of their courage, their spirit, their unique way of being in the world. It's not about idolizing them or putting them on a pedestal. It's a deep, respectful recognition of the divine spark within them. You look at them and you see what a human being is capable of becoming. Their existence inspires you to be more, to reach higher, to tap into your own potential. It's a feeling of reverence. But right alongside this awe, there is fear. And it's not the fear of losing them. It's the fear of what being with them will demand of you. You fear the level of transformation they represent. You know, on an intuitive level, that this person is the catalyst for the death of your old self. You fear the fire they will put you through. You fear the parts of yourself they will force you to confront. You fear you are not strong enough for the journey they are inviting you on. This combination of awe and fear is the signature of encountering the sacred, or what psychologist Rudolf Otto called the mysterium tremendum et fascinans, the terrifying and fascinating mystery. A soulmate connection is a sacred event in your psychological life, and so it evokes this holy terror. You might find yourself pushing them away, sabotaging the connection, precisely because you are terrified of its power. You are afraid of the greatness they see in you, because you know if you accept it, you can no longer play small. You can no longer make excuses. You will be called to rise to the level of your own soul's potential. A young man who was coasting through life, working a dead-end job and numbing himself with distractions, met a woman who was a fiercely dedicated human rights activist. He was in awe of her. Her passion, her clarity of purpose, her courage in the face of injustice. It was like looking at the sun. But he was also terrified. Her life was a mirror to his own meaninglessness. To be with her, he couldn't just admire her. He would have to find his own purpose, his own fight. He would have to stop coasting and start living. He broke up with her twice, driven by a fear he couldn't articulate. It was the fear of his own potential. If you only feel awe, it's infatuation. If you only feel fear, it's a toxic dynamic. But if you feel both simultaneously, pay very close attention. You are standing on holy ground. The action is to name both feelings. Acknowledge the awe and honor the fear. Tell them, you inspire me and you terrify me. This honesty itself is the first step in rising to the challenge. Number 12, freedom is the foundation, not a reward. A conventional love often operates like a cage, albeit a gilded one. The unspoken contract is, I will love you as long as you stay here, as long as you don't change too much, as long as you prioritize me above all else. Freedom is something to be earned, a reward for good behavior. In a soulmate connection, freedom is the starting point. It is the soil in which the relationship grows. There is a deep, mutual understanding that you are two sovereign individuals who have chosen to walk together. The goal is not to merge into a single, codependent entity, but to support each other's individual journey of individuation. This means you give each other space. Space to have separate interests, separate friends, separate spiritual experiences. Space to grow and change, even if that change is scary. It means you are not threatened by their growth, you are thrilled by it. Their victory is your victory, even if it takes them away from you for a time. This is the hardest principle for the ego to accept. The ego wants possession, security, and control. The soul wants freedom and growth. A soulmate connection is a constant negotiation between these two forces. It means being able to say, you need to go on that silent retreat for a month. Go, I will miss you, but I honor your journey. It means, you got that dream job offer in another city. Let's figure it out, but my first response is not to hold you back, but to celebrate your success. This freedom is not indifference. It is the highest form of love. It is a love that is so confident in the core connection that it does not need to chain the other person down. It's a love that says, I love you so much, I am willing to risk losing you if it means you become more of who you are meant to be. Paradoxically, this radical freedom creates a bond far stronger than any cage. The person chooses to return to you not out of obligation, but out of a free and conscious desire. The connection is tested and rechosen day after day. The consequence of possessiveness is suffocation. You will clip your partner's wings, and they will either wither and resent you, or they will break free and fly away. The outcome of radical freedom is a dynamic, resilient, and deeply respectful partnership between two whole, powerful individuals. The actionable step is a daily practice of letting go. Every time you feel the clutch of fear or possessiveness, consciously replace it with a blessing for their freedom and their growth. It is an act of will, a spiritual discipline. Number 13. The connection serves a purpose beyond you. A relationship based on ego is all about us. Our happiness, our comfort, our home, our future. The energy of the relationship is directed inward. It is a closed system designed for the mutual satisfaction of two people. A soulmate connection feels different. There is a sense that the relationship itself has a purpose, a destiny, a third thing that it is meant to serve or create in the world. The energy flows through you as a couple and out into the world. You are not just partners, you are collaborators on a sacred project. This third thing can be anything. It could be raising conscious children. It could be building a business that changes an industry. It could be creating art that heals and inspires. It could be a shared mission of service. It could simply be that the energy of love and truth that you generate together has a positive, radiating effect on everyone you encounter. The relationship isn't the end goal, it is the vehicle for a larger purpose. This gives the connection a profound sense of meaning and resilience. When you face personal struggles or conflicts, you can reorient yourselves by focusing on this shared purpose. The question becomes not just how do we fix this for us, but how do we overcome this so we can continue our work? It elevates the relationship from a personal arrangement to a transpersonal mission. Think of the famous partnership of Marie and Pierre Curie. Their intense personal bond was inseparable from their shared scientific quest. Their love and their work were two sides of the same coin. They weren't just a couple, they were a world-changing force. The third thing they served was the advancement of human knowledge. The hardships they endured, poverty, illness, professional skepticism, were bearable because they were in service of something much larger than their personal comfort. A soulmate connection feels like this. You look at your partner and you know that together you are meant to do something. You are a team assembled by the universe for a specific task. To ignore this is to domesticate a wild and powerful force. It's like using a nuclear reactor to boil a kettle of tea. The immense energy of the connection with nowhere to go will turn inward and become destructive. To embrace it, you must ask the question, what are we here to do together? What is the purpose that our union is meant to serve? Listen for the answer. It may not be clear at first, but if you hold the question, the mission will reveal itself. This is the ultimate destination of a soulmate journey, not to lose yourself in each other, but to find your shared purpose in the world. So there you have it, 13 signs. They are not a romantic checklist. They are a map of a difficult, terrifying, and ultimately glorious territory. This is not about finding the perfect person who will make your life easy. It is about having the courage to meet the person who will be the catalyst for your own becoming. This journey is not for everyone. Most will choose comfort. They will choose the quiet life of the unshattered ego. But if you have felt the tremors of these signs, if you have looked into someone's eyes and felt that terrifying awe and recognition, then you have been given a choice. You can run back to safety, or you can step into the fire. The path of the soulmate is the path of individuation. It is the alchemical work of turning the lead of your ordinary self into the gold of your true self. It is the most challenging work a human being can do, but it is the only work that truly matters. Stop looking for a key. And if you are lucky enough to find the hammer, for God's sake, don't be afraid to let it shatter you, because only what is broken can be made new.